during the pandemic, I was like, okay, one of these days I'm going to go skydiving when it's safe. And then the opportunity came shortly after my mom died. And I was like, her and I talked about it where I would go skydiving and she would be waiting for me to come down anxiously. And the opportunity came and I was like, okay, I got to do this for my mom and dad.
Welcome to Adulting on the Spectrum. In this podcast, we want to highlight the real voices of autistic adults, not just inspirational stories, but people like us talking about their day-to-day life. Basically, we want to give a voice to a variety of autistic people. I'm Eileen Lamb, an autistic author and photographer, and I co-host this podcast with Andrew Komarow. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Eileen. I'm Andrew. I'm an autistic entrepreneur, and I co-host this podcast with Eileen. Today, our guest is Andy F. He is an Eagle Scout who earned his bachelor's degree in kinesiology. I don't even know what that is. We'll have to ask him later. From Howard Payne University, where he specialized in sports medicine. In 2021, he publicly disclosed his Asperger syndrome diagnosis and became an advocate for Autism Speaks. Currently, he's pursuing voice acting and striving to enhance community bonds through recreation and well-being initiatives. His interests include skydiving, charitable races, and a variety of music genres. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me here. It's a great honor.
We're happy to have you here. And we like to start off our podcast. We ask each guest how they prefer to identify, and we don't mean pronouns such as he, her, although you are welcome to share those as well. We mean autism, person on the spectrum, Asperger's, autistic. Do you have a preference? If so, what is it?
When it comes down to pronoun, I prefer he. When it comes down to identification as in regards to my condition or my unique factor is I'm just a normal guy who is also autistic.
Fair enough. That's a good answer. And speaking of you being a normal guy who's also autistic, can you tell us how you found out you were autistic? What's your diagnosis journey?
So when I was 4 years old, they could not properly diagnose me, except for a developmental delay due to lack of available research. At age 6, I was diagnosed with ADD and autism, but told I was normal, just a little different. And then when my mom was informed, she told me she initially was shocked and blamed herself. However, when my parents told both sides of the family, they came together to find ways to help support me and find ways to grow and become independent. And when I was 14, more research was available, and I was officially diagnosed with Asperger syndrome, which is now autism spectrum disorder. My speech therapist, who stuck with me from the 1st grade through 10th grade, helped me become more sociable and less shy. Diagnosticians, teachers, principals, and therapists supported and said I was a joy to have in class and in the workplace.
Another interest you have is skydiving. Where is the best place you have skydived in?
Yes, ma'am. I would say it was Spaceland Skydive Dallas. And I've only skydived twice so far, but I would definitely like to skydive again when I have the opportunity. In fact, actually, with that experience, they made sure I was paired with somebody who had experience working with people with autism. And we developed a system just in case if I got overwhelmed, and we used hand signals.
That is really cool. Can you tell us more about that? Like, what were the hand signals, if you remember, and what did they stand for?
Okay, so for example, say when we were falling, diving. He would be like, "Are you ready?" And I would give him a thumbs up, and then he pushed off. And then when it was time to pull the chute because I had an altimeter on my wrist, I would give the signal, which meant pull the chute. Of course, since it was my first time and it was also on my birthday, he intentionally took me through a cloud. That way I could know what it was like to be the Rocketeer from the movie The Rocketeer.
What made you want to skydive? I am so afraid of heights.
When I was younger, when I was a teenager, I loved rappelling and rock climbing. And during the pandemic, I was like, okay, one of these days I'm going to go skydiving when it's safe. And then the opportunity came shortly after my mom died. And I was like, her and I talked about it where I would go skydiving and she would be waiting for me to come down anxiously. And the opportunity came and I was like, okay, I got to do this for my mom and dad. And I did it and it became a hobby.
I'm with Andrew. I could never do this, but it shows how different autistic people are. We can't make any like blanket statements and generalization. I was wondering if maybe it was like the sensory aspect of it.
Well, surprisingly enough, I didn't experience sensory overload at all during the whole entire time.
Something else from your bio that's very interesting is what is kinesiology and what made you want to earn a degree in it? Can you tell us?
Well, kinesiology is the study of motion and study of the human body on how like the muscles move, how and it's kind of a generalized term as well, where like how exercise affects the body, how movement affects the body, how like the proper nutrition makes the body more effective, and how it also affects the mind. Like for example, when I was in college, my dad almost died, and I found a way to help me cope. Was to start exercising a little bit more. I started running. I started playing basketball, and it really helped out with stress. And what got me into that field was when I went to college. I went to college to study sports med, but at the time at Howard Payne University, they didn't have a legitimate sports med major program. So that's where I had to study kinesiology. And I minored in physical education because I like coaching a little bit too. And I specialize in sports med.
That's really funny because for years when I was in France, I wanted to be what we call a kiné. And it's basically, I feel like it's the abbreviation of kinesiology. And a kiné, I wanted to be a sports kiné, basically taking care of like soccer players and helping with their muscles after games. And I think that's probably the one thing when I was a teenager that was motivating me the most as far as finding a career. Didn't go that direction at all in the end, but I definitely understand the interest. You've been a volunteer with Special Olympics too. Can you tell us one of your favorite moments from your time volunteering with Special Olympics?
There's so many memories, fond memories, that it's hard to pinpoint one. But I would say it was when I was able to work with the adult athletes who were having trouble applying the mechanics I was teaching them. And then I just thought of, I thought on the spot a way to help them retain that knowledge, apply it, and help them grow more confident. And when it helped, and they improved greatly and just kept on improving, it made me proud as a coach.
So do you have, we've had some guests in the past who have had some small companies, Mark Fleming helping especially people with autism and disabilities, get more physically fit. How you mentioned how it helped you. I find, physical activity I'm told I need to do more physical activity. But I say that all the time. But it's good for everyone, right? We all know we should get more exercise. I don't think there's anyone who says, no, exercise is bad, right? But I find, especially that, people with, autism or just disability were just, again, maybe less likely to be involved in some sports or in physical activity. So do you have any tips for, somebody on how to be more physically active who wants to be but isn't?
Yeah. Well, for me, I've learned that, a perfect balance of cardio, calisthenics or weight training, actually helps out a lot. Because the whole entire human body is affected. And like, for example, your feet need your legs to work. Your legs need your core to work. So what I found what works best for me is running and then doing full body weight training. And for anybody who's looking for it, like, just start small first. Like, find which cardio activity you enjoy. It could be basketball, it could be soccer, it could be running. Heck, it can even be bicycling. And when it comes down to that, then figure out what you like to do. Do you like to do weight training or calisthenics? I like a combination of both. And then just, find the best nutritional format that works for you. For me, I just try to keep balance and not try to put too much pressure.
You mentioned coping mechanisms you have for your stress and sensory overload, and I think that would be of interest to a lot of our listeners. Can you tell us a bit more about some of those coping mechanisms other than exercise?
What I do is, say, for example, if I'm experiencing sensory overload, I try to listen to music whenever I can. It could be orchestral, it could be smooth classic rock, or it could be like music from a movie. Also, I do have a couple of fidget toys that I use as well. Like, I have a fidget spinner that if I need to focus, but I need something to kind of, find that balance. I use that. Also, if I have the opportunity, I go out for a walk and I just breathe. Or if I just need to give my brain a break, I do something creative, either building a model or coloring. But also another stress relieving tactic I found that works best for me is I talk it out with somebody who I trust the most. For example, my mentor. They were the one who I felt like I could trust. And whenever I was having a real bad stress out period, I would be talking with them.
You mentioned your Myers-Briggs personality type. Eileen, do you know your type?
INFP.
INFP? Yeah,
Yeah.
INTJ. I'm an INTJ.
You're an
So
I? Oh my God, you look so much like an E. You're so
I don't know
extrovert.
why you think I'm an extrovert. I just like when I'm talking about something I enjoy. It's different, right? So, oh, even I noticed that eye roll. Come on, Eileen. Okay. Anyway, so now you know the types Eileen and myself are. Can you tell us about your Myers-Briggs personality type and why you think it's spot on?
Okay. Well, apparently all three of us are introverts. I'm
Big shocker there.
my personality type is ISFJ, also known as the defender or protector. I think it is
And
definitely spot.
the rarest of all the types. I know because my wife
ISFJ?
is INFJ.
Oh, INFJ. Oh wow.
I'm a ISFJ.
Oh,
Oh, sorry. My bad. You're
That's
not
all
you're
right.
not cool. You're not the rarest. So my apologies.
Well, I'm second to rarest.
Is it? I thought INTJ was. Man, oh well. Anyway, continue.
For me, it's definitely spot on because, like, that is my dream career endeavor. Is a position where I could be behind the scenes, where I could care about the team, where I could even, like, I could still be a representative, but more of a liaison behind the scenes. But like Andrew, like you, when I'm talking about something I'm passionate about, uh, it tends to, it tends to shift. Like some people won't necessarily think I'm an introvert. I'm kind of more of an extrovert. Like when I talk about historical figures from past and present or great leaders, I get really into it and I get really excited about it. Like, for example, Keanu Reeves. What makes him a great leader is not his acting ability, but is how he cares about people. How he doesn't let he doesn't let the fame get to his head.
So a good motto to live by is, what would Keanu Reeves do before you do something? Just think about that.
Speaking of acting, you're into voice acting now. Can you tell us about that interest? Like, how did that happen?
If you guys want me to do a couple impersonations, I can. Yeah. Let me see here. I can do Bugs Bunny real quick. Yeah. What's up, Eileen? What's up, Andrew?
That's really good. I don't know why I'm
Um,
surprised. I mean, but like, can you do another?
Yeah. Eileen, are you familiar with the TV show Hogan's Heroes?
No, sorry.
Okay. Let me see what else. What other characters can I do?
You can do it. I'm sure it's gonna sound cool, even if I don't know it, you know.
Okay. Okay, like all right. One of my favorite characters from the show is Schultz, Sergeant Schultz. He's so I see nothing, I hear nothing. I didn't even get up this morning.
I don't know that one, but it seemed good.
Yeah,
So
it's good. Like very
Um
convincing.
yeah,
yeah, I could also do I could do a little bit of Goofy and Mickey Mouse, so
I know that one.
yep. Yep. And
wait, do Mickey Mouse again?
Nothing came out of your mouth.
Yeah, nothing came out.
okay. Hello, Eileen. Hello, Andrew.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. For me, what really helped me get into it was back in my days at Howard Penn University, I was also known as, like the genuinely good person, who could also do impersonations. So my sophomore year, a friend of mine convinced me to do an impersonation skit on stage. I did the audition. They thought it was hilarious. And then my friend, he managed to get his frat pledge class for that year to agree to be in the skit for me. And then after the show, after that weekend, the whole entire campus was talking about it for years. In fact, even one of my classmates who I saw recently after 13 years, they referred to me as Andy the Legend. And the skit made the school newspaper and also even the school yearbook that year. And then a couple of years later, I expanded my repertoire and did it on stage for a competition. And a couple of theater art majors who were classmates of mine who also performed in the show. They were like, have you considered voice acting as a possible career? About a year ago, I had the courage to apply for voice acting lessons. I got accepted, and my coach said I have real talent, and I had to take a break a little bit, but it's something that I definitely want to pursue, especially in my retirement years.
Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Favorite animal?
Favorite animal? I would say it's an eagle.
Love it. How about favorite food?
Favorite food? I got a question. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Breakfast.
I would say a bacon, egg, cheese on croissant sandwich.
I like it. Good answer. Favorite singer?
I got to go with Bon Jovi.
Favorite Robin Williams movie? I hope that's specific enough.
Favorite Robin Williams movie? Can it be two? And I can give a little bit of an explanation.
Why that?
The Bicentennial Man, because it kind of reminds me of like what it's like to be autistic. You know, like we just, like he wanted to be accepted as what he endeavored to be, which was he wanted to become more human. He wanted to be accepted for his efforts. And people with autism, that's what a lot of us want. Like, we just want to be accepted. We want to be accepted by society where, we could be seen that we can contribute. It's either, behind the scenes or out in public. And then of course comedy, I gotta go with Mrs. Stoutfire.
Yeah, I know that one. I love it.
It's a shame what happened, but he was just one of those genuinely caring guys. Like he cared more about people than himself.
And I loved what you said about the Bicentennial Man. I wasn't expecting that, so that was great. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Andy. Before we go, do you want to share with people where they can find you on social media or anywhere?
Yeah, definitely. So on social media, on Facebook, I started a group post called Driven by Faith. It's kind of more like motivational, like how can say whenever you have a thought-provoking question. And then also no limits with disabilities, because like Autism Speaks, if like the community, they need a voice. And it could be low-key behind the scenes.
Thank you so much for sharing and for joining us today. I mean, I know you were a little nervous, but you did amazing. And I think people are going to enjoy this episode. So thank you.
Thanks, Eileen. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you, Andrew. It's been a pleasure. Definitely hope this podcast helps people who are like us, feel more comfortable about themselves. And, not be afraid to be open to those who they trust the most.
We appreciate you helping spread that message.